All right. Good morning. Early morning crypto talk. Bitcoin Brandon from Los Angeles, California. Finally, the sun has come up here in California. It's a big day for us. A couple of days, constant rain. We're not used to that. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from. I see we have Mathus from Laurel, Maryland. Cynthia from Phoenix. Tony Pinkston from Philly. Cleve Stewart from New York City. Lorna Vasquez. Stan Williams, Tampa, Florida. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Ron Ross from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, what happened to my music? There we go. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move in. There's 4 rules I live by in the crypto space to have a lot of success. Number 1, education is key. Education is everything. Number 2, never invest money that you cannot afford to lose. Number 3, always get your return on investment back as fast as possible. And number 4, where do you see yourself in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now? What are you willing to do to make it happen? Make a decision, take action, find a vehicle like KGX. Stay focused and don't get distracted. Distractions can come from many different places. Keep your eye on the prize. Now, this is not going to guarantee you success, but it will at least minimize your risk. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most that we can ask for. So I don't have that many articles this morning to cover. I think only 2. So what's going on, Shane West? One about the economy and one geopolitics, what's going on internationally. So we will bring that up in a second here. Share screen. All right. Hopefully today, this morning, I won't have my phone blowing up like it did yesterday. Those that were here yesterday, you saw that. It just went lit. And normally that happens in the afternoon, not in the morning. But anyways, let's see. We look at coin market cap. Market cap right now is at 121 billion. So I've seen a little bit of loss because it was closer to almost 122 billion. But it's flat. Bitcoin is at almost 0% change in the last 24 hours. So the same as with the top 10. I mean, I don't remember the last time I've seen something like this. In fact, to think about it, I don't think I have ever, since I've been monitoring the charts this way, have I seen anything like this. It's almost 0% flat across the board. Let's see the best performers. Loop Ring, Steam, MOAC, those are in double digit, but those are high in risk, the biggest risk coins. Electronium is up 5.79%. Binance coin is up 4%, but nothing in the top 10. Binance is the highest at number 13. Basic Attention is up. Tron is up. Worst performers. Bugara always seems to be in the top. How are they still listed? I don't know what they do. Negative 16%, negative 10%, Revane, Hypernash, Eternity. Kundi X is down negative 6%. Bitcoin Gold. But I just see it all. A flat market, sideways trading. Let's go over international news. Report from within Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is another Venezuela. I mean, you think things are bad here. You haven't seen anything like what they're going through. And we keep this government shutdown going on. You're going to start seeing stuff here in America that you've never seen in your lifetime. It's going to be where I'm looking at the news right now here in Crenshaw. There's a burger joint that is offering free lunches if you come in with your government ID. I mean, it's getting to that point. And it hasn't even been a full month. This is what most Americans don't realize. When you are one paycheck away, living paycheck to paycheck, and literally one paycheck away from being on the street, the way our system is currently working is not working for us. We are working basically to survive, just to pay the bills at the end of the month. What happens if you're not able to? There's no savings to rely on. Most people can't afford a $400 extra expense if the car breaks down. If they have to travel across the country because of a family emergency or a funeral. I remember my dad telling me a story when he went to school in Chicago, when he was in college. His parents couldn't afford to bring him home for Thanksgiving. And he said, he's a Compton kid. He had never seen snow in his life. And it was freezing in Chicago. He said his bro had icicles and stuff in it. And that he did odd jobs to save up enough money to make sure that he can come home for Christmas. But imagine now, people who have never went to the pawn shop before are going to the pawn shop to pawn off their TVs and radios and jewelry. One woman pawning her ring. It hasn't even been 30 days. What happens if it is 90 days? What are we looking at? We've never seen this before. We are tilting on a cliff. But let me show you something that is far, far, far worse. Zimbabwe, a government that's crippled its own economy. It's like self-induced issues. And I think that's my new word for the year. When I look at conflict, because I'm older now, so I don't react to things like I used to in the past. Get all fired up, and you guys don't know the old Brandon. You might go back on my YouTube videos and go back, maybe back in 2010, 11, 12. I started calming down in 14, 15. And a lot of videos I pulled down because you don't need to see that side of me. But I used to be reactionary. Now I'm far more mellow. It takes a whole lot to get me agitated, to get me going. But when you do, you don't want to see that side of me, and I can care less who you are. But it takes a lot for that to happen, because I've learned something in personal development. And I made this post today. It's not what happens to you that's important. It's how you respond to the things that happen to you that make the biggest difference. Never, ever make a permanent decision on a short-term issue that got you fired up. Never do that. You will regret it later if you're willing to admit to yourself about that. Never do that. And a lot of problems and issues I see are self-induced. You look at our government shutdown. This is not mandatory. This is not based on a crisis. It's self-induced by both parties. You look at what happened in Venezuela. Venezuela's economy used to be thriving. Then yet the socialists came in, created some mess, self-induced poverty, self-induced crisis. Think about in your own lives. If you're honest with yourself, whatever issue you're going through right now, ask yourself, was this necessary? Could it have been avoided? Or am I making it self-induced problem? And again, those type of people would never admit that. It took me a while to admit to myself that a lot of things that I was tripping out about was self-induced. So let it go. Like Obama says, just brush it off your shoulder and keep moving. Keep the eye on the prize. But let's see, what about Zimbabwe? Is what Zimbabwe doing self-induced? Was it avoidable? Well, let's see, what about Zimbabwe? Whoa, my other computer turned on. Was it avoidable? See, a shutdown of the internet. What? Zimbabwe shut down the internet in Zimbabwe? A shutdown of the internet by the Zimbabwe government this week in an attempt to quell deadly protests ended up achieving the exact opposite result. A total shutdown of the economy, including key public services like health and education. Okay, that should be a wake-up call right there to all governments, especially with the blockchain and the crypto and Bitcoin. You can't shut it down. Just wait till the internet becomes full-blown blockchain technology, just like cell phones, blockchain cell phones and stuff. The government can't shut it down. So they attempted to shut down the internet, and that shut down the entire country. You see how intertwined technology and our way of life is today? That's why I said yesterday, for people that are ignoring crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain because they don't think it impacts their life, they don't think that it will have anything to do with them, those individuals are going to be using the technology unwittingly. They're not going to know that they're using it, but they're using it. It's going to be in all your tablets. It's going to be in all your computers. It's going to be in all of your cell phones. It's going to be in the grocery stores. It's going to be in your business and your job. It's going to be in your healthcare provider. It's going to be in your insurance. And you have no say-so in this. So if the government attempts to shut that technology down, you end up shutting down the entire system. You shut down the entire economy. It's intertwined. That's why education is so important right now. Miscalculating government paralyzes country's business operations. Mobile networks and internet service providers suspended web services on January 15th under an order by the Minister of State in the President's Office for National Security. The idea was to prevent social media platforms like WhatsApp, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook from being used by citizens to spread messages of revolution, following a 150% increase in the pump price of diesel and petrol. So in an attempt to stop the spread of information, Iran couldn't even do this. If I go back maybe 12 years, not that long, maybe 9 or 10 years, when you had a new Iranian kind of revolution taking place, where the people tried to rise up against the government and it was put down. Don't know if you guys remember that. But Iran attempted, how all that came to be was because they were using the internet to organize themselves. using the internet to know where the meeting places were going to go, where to protest, where this government official was at, tracking things all over the country. And Iran couldn't figure out how to shut that social stuff down and limit it. Even the United States attempts this a little bit. Do you know in Detroit, do you know what they do in the poor neighborhoods with Wi-Fi access? They don't call it poor neighborhoods. This is what they do. They block off neighborhoods based on credit. They know which neighborhoods have higher credit than others. And if the neighborhood has a combined lower amount of credit, then what the providers will do is throttle back the internet service. So even though they signed up for it, it's so slow because when you know how that works, the whole neighborhood and block is on a network, shared network, internet speed. And they slow it down in those poor neighborhoods. Did you guys know that? United States does it too. Right, Shane? Same thing happened in Egypt. I'm thinking of Libya. But yeah, the same thing happened in Egypt. Same thing happened in Libya as well. So they tried to throttle it or shut it down to prevent people from rallying together. The ban was reviewed Thursday, January 17th, to apply only to those 4 popular social networks, but was reimposed again later that evening. Since January 14th, when the demonstration started, more than 3 people have died from the protests, partly mobilized on social media throughout the Southern African country's major cities. Police stations have been burned down and shops looted and destroyed. I want you to think about that. What do you think the American people are going to do? You start going on 2 months, no pay. And you might think, well, it's just not affecting me. It's just a million government employees. I'm in the private sector. It doesn't affect me. Ripple effect. Try to get on an airplane. Try to call for help because you decided to go surfing when you weren't supposed to and got a riptide. Where's the Coast Guard at? Where's Secret Service? TSA agents, government parks, services, IRS checks, WIC payments, food stamps, Medicare, Medi-Cal. And then those people that normally would be using that money from their paycheck to put it back into the economy for other businesses, like the ones you work for, are no longer having that revenue coming in, which means they're going to have to cut back and start doing layoffs, which means you get laid off. This is going to affect all of us. The longer this goes on, 60 days, 90 days. I think the breaking point when we start seeing major riots in the street, 90 days. 90 days. It's going to be tough at 60 days, but 90 days, it's game over. They're going to be storming the White House. Now, here's what I think that will happen. I think that a resolution will be passed for a temporary government reopening, and they're going to table the wall debate and make that separate. I think that's what's going to ultimately happen. Or the president will call for a state of emergency that will reopen the government, and then it's like an executive order, and use the guise of the state of emergency to build the wall. But either way, this is not good. So, Zimbabwe. While the government may have been looking to strengthen its hand in news management and contain demonstrations, the shutdown has completely paralyzed business activities that rely on the internet. Instead of protesters shutting down the economy, the government totalized the inability of businesses to operate within the internet blockade. Bank transfers were impossible, and the stock market was also down. All Bitcoin-related transactions have been effectively disabled. Meanwhile, the government explained the shutdown with conflicting messages, from a flimsy alibi to constitutionally drawn justifications. Ironically, the country's president, Emerson, and other public officials continued addressing Zimbabweans on restricted social networks like Twitter, partly giving away the administration's tendency to play international politics while restricting freedoms at home. The only country that I know of that has been successful at limiting this type of stuff has been China. But they've got an iron fist in their country. Yes, I did work at Capitol Hill. I worked for Congressman Jose Serrano from the Bronx, New York, in 1998. In the Capitol, been to the White House. I was an intern at the time, and that was also right after the Monica Lewinsky thing. So I remember they had strict restrictions on us during that time. Good days, though. Good times. Stunned citizens switch to censorship-free alternative. See, it's stuff like this that they're going to be switching to crypto. You want to cut me? I'm just going to use my blockchain phone. How about that? I'll get on the internet through the blockchain. The government's social media communications might also be acknowledgement of the futility of blocking communications. As citizens in a crisis have always been known to move to the next. Why is my phone blowing up again? There it goes. Here we go again. Let's see. A growing number of Zimbabweans have started to switch to Telegram and are utilizing Tor and VPNs to unlock restricted platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter. Whisper Network are ideal for citizens to communicate outside state restrictions and surveillance. The real miscalculation was the effect of such a total ban on business operations. The existing liquidity crisis, also responsible for fuel shortages, has forced businesses to migrate online, with most shops having gone cashless, using mostly bank cards to facilitate transactions. The internet shutdown means that retailers such as supermarkets were closed for business, and the social extent. Wait, why are supermarkets closed for business? Because their government shut down. Unless it's all tied to the government. That's not here in America. It's all private. The social extent of the blackout has apparently been unclear. Did you guys hear? I didn't even know this. That I guess the government agencies that monitor the quality of the food, the inspectors and stuff, and diseases, that's part of the government shutdown. So our food and stuff is not getting screened. I didn't hear the whole report. I just saw the glance when I was looking at the news. It's like, what? Anyways. So instead of battling to keep social services uninterrupted, the government also compromised healthcare, education, and other public services, as they not only rely heavily on electronic transactions, but also need internet for records, internal systems, and research. On January 15th, citizens suddenly found themselves offline, left to speculate on the cause and length of the blackout. Others proceeded to renew their data packages, assuming they were out of data, only for the new data plan to expire unused. The Deputy Minister of Information Energy, Mutoti, initially denied that the government had shut down the internet, putting it down to congestion. Really? Thank you, Stan. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Subsequently, his ministry contradicted him, claiming that the government was acting in terms of an act of the Constitution. Interception of Communications Act provides for the issuing of a warrant to interfere with communications where public safety or national security is threatened. Do they have that act in the United States? That goes against our Constitution. An unknown number of anarchists are attacking anyone and everything is a national security threat. On January 16th, the country's biggest telecom company, Econet Wireless, sent its customers a notice attributing the internet shutdown to the government. Why am I covering Zimbabwe? Because what's happening in Zimbabwe can happen here. That's why. Somebody shot me, well, why are you talking about Zimbabwe? The company said it was now challenging the internet blockade at the high courts, maintaining free course for propaganda. Besides freezing the circulation of anti-establishment messages, Who says it's anti-establishment messages? See, this is why MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News is so dangerous. It's dangerous. Even if what they're talking about is what you agree with for the moment. When Obama was in office, CNN and MSNBC was considered state-backed news by the right, spewing propaganda and only supporting everything that Obama said. Now that Trump is in office, Fox News is being seen as state-run propaganda that will support any and everything the president does. On both sides, there is no discourse anymore. There is no presenting all sides and letting you decide. That's gone on the cable news networks. And that's dangerous when you have a state-run media that will never challenge authority, but instead will always work to justify whatever is coming out of the authority. That's dangerous for Democrats, that's dangerous for Republicans, that's dangerous for all Americans. Because then you're looking at one side as the enemy, and they're not. We're all Americans. We can have civil discourse. We can agree to disagree. We can compromise. But when you have a state, the government, that is able to control your media, that calls the media an enemy of the state because they're doing or saying things that you don't like, that is not a democracy anymore. That's Russia. That's China. The heavy-handed state response to the protests indicates how centralized government systems are anathema to individual freedom, something that is rightly challenged by disruptive and decentralized systems. Yeah, there we go. That is challenged because crypto is decentralized and the dark web, which resists state and corporate control. Perhaps the blockout, unjustifiable as it is an opportunity for citizens to think about the trust we have in government and technology companies to maintain benevolent facilities of our business and communication needs. See, the blockchain and all this stuff will allow, if governments start to do this, it's going to force people to go to the blockchain. That's why I said going against your own self-interest. We don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. So we made an agreement with them. The agreement was in place and signed by all the allies in the West. The current administration didn't like that deal and said, screw that deal, we're pulling out and we're going to put more sanctions on Iran. Again, this is not whether you agree with it or not. I'm stating a course of history, of facts. There was a deal in place. The current administration canceled the deal, put more sanctions on Iran. Iran was then forced to look for alternatives to keep their economy moving and feed their people. One of those alternatives is cryptocurrency. Another alternative is forget the US dollar. Another alternative is let's ally ourselves with those that are also in the same situation, getting sanctions against the United States, and let's make trade agreements amongst each other and leaving Washington out of it. That is a result of our actions. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. That is the result of it. Same thing is happening in Russia. Russia says we're tired of the Washington having control over us and putting sanctions and making us do what they want because they control the money. So we'll dump all their debt. We'll start stockpiling gold. We'll come out with our own crypto or a crypto ruble coin. We'll use cryptocurrencies to avoid sanctions. Cause, effect. The government decides, oh, we're going to shut down the internet so you guys can't mobilize to try to overthrow us. Fine, then we'll just use alternative things like crypto and the blockchain to get our information out there. Cause and effect. All right, last article up. Dow Jones. Dow pounds higher, but apathetic Bitcoin trades sideways. I just showed you guys the chart. It's flat. It's moving sideways. That means we've talked about trading. Those of you that know have been learning how to trade and have been practicing it. You're making money regardless of what the market is doing, regardless if this Bitcoin is going up and down or sideways. All that matters. Let me show you real quick. All that matters is this. Come on, pop up for me. This is all that matters. This is money's being made. Buy low, sell high. Buy, sell, buy, sell. See this? Whether it's here or here. This is the same, what? This is about less than 0.5%, like 0.3% or so from here to here. Well, that's the same from here to here. So it doesn't matter the price of Bitcoin. So if you know what you're doing, which is why education is so important, you're making some money. The U.S. stock market continued to rise ahead of Friday's opening bell, with the Dow flashing triple-digit gains and its sister indices making similarly bullish strides. Bitcoin, though, entered the day with little momentum as the cryptocurrency market demonstrated a lack of conviction. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 157 points this morning, while 0.65%, while S&P Nasdaq 500 and Nasdaq futures climbed 0.545% and 0.48%. The three major U.S. stock market indices had recorded solid advances on Thursday. The Dow closed at 24,370 after rising 162 points, or 0.67%. The S&P 500 ended the session at $2,635 after rising 0.76%. And the tech-heavy Nasdaq put the 7,000 mark further in its rear-view mirror following a daily gain of 0.71%. Now, Mnuchin wants to scale back trade war tariffs. Thursday's rally was partially sparked by a Wall Street Journal report that U.S. officials had held high-level discussions about scaling back tariffs that the U.S. had placed on Chinese imports as part of the ongoing trade war between the two economic superpowers. Does Donald Trump agree with that, Mnuchin? You know, anytime one of the officials that Donald Trump actually appointed says something different than him, they're not going to be there very long. So the U.S. Treasury Secretary wants to pull back. I haven't heard that come from Donald Trump yet. That's when I'll believe it. So it says, according to that report, which cited people close to internal deliberations, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin himself had proposed lifting some or even all of the tariffs. However, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Light, I'll just say Robert, is not on board with Mnuchin's plan. See, there we go. Okay, we got the U.S. Treasury Secretary saying, yeah, we're going to lift all the tariffs. Then we got the U.S. Trade Representative saying, nah, that's not going to happen. What? He believes easing off tariffs would convey weakness and take the pressure off Beijing to cut a new deal. Okay, based on that statement, who do you think Donald Trump is going to listen to? Steven Mnuchin, his Treasury Secretary, or Robert, U.S. Trade Representative, talking about, oh, it's going to show weakness? I think we know the answer to that question. Nevertheless, the indication that one of U.S. President Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries was pushing to scale back the trade war gave a jolt to major stock market indices, including the Dow, which climbed more than 250 points before pairing those gains after a senior government official disputes. See, here's what's happening here. This is crazy. Just a rumor that we're going to pull the tariffs back had the market jump. But then another government official said, no, not so fast. That's not official yet. That's not going to happen. Then the market immediately halted. And then watch. Here's what's going to happen. Donald Trump's going to make a tweet, and he's going to back up U.S. Trade Representative Robert. No, we're not going to convey weakness. We're going to bring China to the table to give us a new deal. That's why we're doing this. You know what the market's going to do? It's going to tank again. So this is the soft cat bounce. I would not be buying right now. It's going to reverse itself. Am I 100% sure on that? No, I'm just plotting what Donald Trump's going to do. I think we have enough history to kind of be able to predict some of the things he's going to do. He is not lifting the Chinese sanctions without a new deal. Let's use common sense here. Therefore, this rumor that caused the market rebound is short-lived. To some analysts, that jump was an indication the markets are a coiled spring, awaiting a trade war resolution. In any case, Wall Street's optimists seem to be prevailing, at least ahead of the opening bell, but will they sustain that momentum through Friday's close? It all depends on what Donald Trump says. Now, I didn't want to pull a Saturday Night Live, Shane. People are going to get upset. I am trying to remain as neutral as I possibly humanly can. Because we have people that do not agree with the president, and we have people that agree with every single thing the president does that listens to me. Politics, whatever you believe, that's your belief. We can get along. I get along very well with Rob Harris, and we are on opposite ends of the spectrum. But we can have a conversation. All right. Since the beginning of 2019, Greenspan said in daily market commentary made available to CCN, the short-term correlations between Bitcoin and gold, the U.S. dollar, and the stock markets have all moved to near zero. They just don't give a F. It's not clear whether the crypto market will sustain this trend throughout the year, but if it does, then Bitcoin could position itself as a viable economic hedge if and when a recession arrives. In the meantime, the Bitcoin price enters the day with a 24-hour increase of 0.48%, currently trading at a global average of $3,651. The flagship crypto is down 1.1% from where it was a week ago, owing to a multi-stage sell-off that put the market dangerously close to what some, but not all, analysts have identified as a crucial support level. Daily altcoin returns have been mixed, with Ripple and Bitcoin Cash signaling losses of around 0.75%, while EOS, Tron, and IOTA have all climbed at least 1%. So, I talked a whole lot about the government shutdown, doom and gloom. I never leave you hanging like that. There's always a solution. I am a solution person, not a problem complaining person. Yeah, the government shut down. It sucks. Yeah, may not get your tax return on time. That sucks. You didn't get your paycheck, so you can't pay your bill. That sucks. Solution. Or are you just going to wallow in that? Here's my solution. Focus on the things that you can control. Alternate ways of making some money. Home-based business. Use KGX. You need to make a quick $1,000? Share KGX with 10 people. You just made $1,000. You need to make $5,000? Share it with 50 people. You just made $5,000. It really is just that simple. You need to start cutting some expenses. We got a deal going on right now that's only until the end of the month. You can get a SIM card for $300 and eliminate your cell phone bill. And you know what always stands out, especially I've been self-employed, meaning I haven't had a job for years. And in that process doesn't mean that it's always sunny and roses. Sometimes there's peaks and there's valleys. There's months I made a boatload of money. There's other times I don't make jack squat for 2 or 3 months. And you know what always stands out during those times? The cell phone bill. I'm like, really? That's how much I'm paying? Imagine eliminating your cell phone bill for the next 5 years, and it only costs you $300. Eliminate some of your expenses. Solutions. I am a solution person. I could care less. I've been knowing about this since October. You're only hearing me talking about it now. Don't care if you got to get a SIM card from me or not. I am showing you an option. Take advantage of the deal before it goes up to $600 next month. It's not rocket science. There's no agenda. Save yourself some money. Go to www. Let me do HTTP so you can just click on it. RemoveMyBill.com. And then use the money that you would be using normally every month to pay your cell phone bill to put it into savings, put it into crypto, put it into, what did I just announce yesterday? We're about to launch our automatic Forex desk. Let your money work for you. Use it to start building your crypto portfolio. Use it to pay other bills that you've been struggling in. Bottom line, eliminate your freaking bill. Why would you say no to that? Or you just don't like me? Fine, go get it from somebody else. I don't care. But do something. I give solutions, not problems. So I hope you guys have a great day. Today is Friday, so unless something major happens, I will not be back for late night crypto talk. I will be back for early morning crypto talk tomorrow and also Saturday training. In that Saturday training, we're going to go over the comp plan, the KGX comp plan, how to earn Bitcoin. So we're going to go over that tomorrow. So with that, you guys, that's going to be on at tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, www.kgxglobal.info. kgxglobal.info. All right, guys, hope you guys learned something new. As always, that is the point. Spread the word. People are hurting out there. They need help. If you're about helping people, you now have a tool that is going to help people. Let that be your focus. With that, have a great day, everybody. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.